Hello, my name is Andy and I am the Village Idiot. I'm armed with a car and a GoPro and an unhealthy amount of time on my hands. I'm using that time to attempt to visit every civil parish in England. You're watching the York series. Sitting within North Yorkshire, York is a very historic place with 31 civil parishes within its city boundaries. Here's one of them for your enjoyment. Happy New Year to the people of York. Hope you all had a fantastic Christmas. It's very cold, it's early December here, just before Christmas, and I'm starting a run of what will be 4 small villages to the west of York in the ward of rural West York. And I'm beginning at what looks like a field of sheep at this one. And there are some sheep over there. I'll be honest with you, it's not exactly inaccurate to say it's a field of sheep. But also over there, there's something rather interesting called the York Autograss Club. And you'll find that in the parish of Hessay. Here's my disclaimer for people who may be watching me for the first time. I say things as I would in my native accent and dialect. As a result, I may not pronounce things in the same way as the locals do. Remember, I'm a visitor. It's impossible to know everything. Leave me a comment, spin me a like and bash that subscribe button. Let's get to today's parish video. Hessay is a small linear village which lies just to the south of the A59 to the west of York, located some 4.7 miles away from the city centre. It lies in the Vale of York and enjoys a peaceful open setting surrounded by agricultural fields. To the east, on a clear day, the striking towers of York Minster are visible from New Road. Hessay is mentioned in the Domesday Book, where it's recorded as Hesdesai, which literally means the lake where the hazels grow. The modern village still has a small lake called the Willows. In 2012, Ordinance Survey declared Hessay to be the geographical centre of Yorkshire, although this is disputed. Cattal, further west, also claims this, as does Barkston Ash in Selby. The village has no pub, no post office and no shop, but it does have 2 churches and a small park. There are approximately 90 houses in Hessay, so this is a small one. One thing the village is known for would be the former MOD sidings, which sat alongside the railway line that runs between the main village and the A59. Hessay once had a station on that line too, and its fine building still stands. And on the A59, there's a rather unusual motorsport venue, York Autograss. It's only a short episode this one, here's Hessay. We begin at the north of the village outside the main gates of the York Autograss Club, one of 52 such clubs in the UK. Together they form NASA, which stands for the National Autograss Sports Association. Autograss is a non-contact motorsport where 8 cars start on a grid and race 4 to 10 laps on an oval track measuring 1/4 of a mile. The track is laid out on a natural surface with a fresh track starting off from grass, hence the name Autograss. You can watch all the action here as well. Here in York, there's a grassy bank high enough for a good view of the entire track. It sounds like a good day out. The club stands on the A59, named at this point Roman Road. For a long time, the A59 was believed to be built on the route of the Roman Deer Street. However, in 2010, an archaeological dig determined the route of the Roman Road diverges south from the A59's junction with New Road. And that's not the only motorsport location we'll be seeing in York today, or rather the only one I won't be seeing. You'll be seeing another one hopefully next week if I can get anywhere close to it. Anyway, for now we're heading down into Hessay village over a railway line, and this railway line is very interesting. It's got an old station but also some old sidings that were used by the Ministry of Defence. Hessay used to have a railway station on the Harrogate line. The line is still active, but the station closed to passengers in 1958. It was opened in 1849 by the Eastern West Yorkshire Junction Railway. You can still make out the old platforms here, but trains no longer stop. However, it does still serve a purpose, and it's all to do with these crossing gates. And once again, these are certainly not your usual barriers. More on that in a moment. The line once had some sidings here which were used by the Ministry of Defence. They were used until 1991 and were fully closed in 1996. The MOD used the associated warehouses as a storage facility for the army, with some offices too. These have since been turned into Hessay Industrial Estate. Interestingly though, the site began its life during World War II as a prisoner of war camp. It housed Italian prisoners who worked on the surrounding farmland. So these crossing gates are hand operated, and I know that because as I was recording the industrial estate just there, the crossing keeper came out and closed them. So in a moment there'll be a train, and then these will be hand operated to come back to the original position they were in when I got here. That's very unique. That you don't see this very often, a hand operated crossing, do you? I'm going to hang around for a moment, wait for the train, and then hopefully we'll capture the crossing keeper putting the gates back as they were. Here comes the train. Heading into York. And here we go, here's the crossing keeper opening the gates to let the traffic through. Not a very common occurrence seeing this. Most of them are electrically operated these days. There we go. They do still exist. Right, let's move on. Our next landmark is the church. Historically speaking, Hessay was given to St Mary's Abbey in York by Osborne de Archis, probably in the 12th or 13th century, and it remained in their possession until the dissolution of the monasteries. The modern village has two churches. If you continue down New Road, you'll pass the church of St John the Baptist. This sits isolated from the main village, some 50 or so metres from the nearest house. It was built as a daughter church to All Saints Church at Monkton in the late 1800s. The churchyard is a valuable wildlife habitat, and it features an exceptionally rich wildflower meadow of rare and valuable flora and fauna. Over the road there's Curlew Fields Dairy. This is run by the Hildreth family, who have lived in Hessay for over 130 years. They milk around 120 cows twice a day. They micro-process milk from the farm to sell straight to the public via a vending machine. There's a cafe here too, and a shop fashioned from an old shipping container. Okay, so everything so far has been done by using the car. We haven't actually walked anywhere yet, and that's what we're about to do, because as you can see in the distance over there, there is the main village of Hessay. So we'll take the car down to the village and we'll get walking. I definitely need to get walking because it's so cold out here. I need to get the blood pumping around my body and warm myself up. It's not a very long walk, but hopefully an interesting one. Our main walk is only 2 parts long. We start at the Methodist Church at the western end of Main Street. In the 1820s, the farming community in Hessay was dominated by Methodists. The chapel stands in the same 10-acre plot as the manor house, which was owned and occupied by William Nottingham. Next to the church is a bus stop, and the number 22 bus to York stops here, an important service as most of Hessay's residents these days are commuters. That's not always been the case. Hessay's main employment was once a thriving hub for farming, but many of its old farms have now been converted into housing. It still retains some key amenities though. For example, for children, there's still a small playground just off Main Street. And just in front of that, there's a defib machine and a standalone postbox. Hessay no longer has a post office, nor does it have a shop. The nearest ones are located in Upper Poppleton. Okay, so we've hit the middle of the village where Main Street meets Sherbet Lane and New Road. This is New Road. This is the one that takes you up towards the level crossing and the industrial estate where we were earlier, past the church. Now I'm going to take a short walk up there just to see what's down there. Don't think there's much, to be honest. And then we're going to take another short walk after that down Sherbet Lane. Now the name of Sherbet Lane, there's a story behind that, and I'll tell you what that is in a few moments. And then when we've done with that, we're going to turn around there and head back the other way, back to where we began. So not a very big place at all, Hessay, is it? But still very nice, very lovely. So let's see what else it's got before we finish up here. This eastern end of the village is purely residential, but it wasn't always that way. Maps from 1892 show there was once a school at its eastern end. The map also shows a brickyard, various sandpits, and interestingly, a smallpox hospital in an isolated location to the north of the current A59. It's understood that a searchlight battery was located on the former smallpox hospital during World War II. Check out this fabulous roundel on this signpost, by the way. So now to head along Sherbet Lane for a short distance. The name Sherbet is derived from shirebutts, which is a term associated with jousting. Hessay was once the location for jousting tournaments. According to Wikipedia, the location of the jousting butts can still be seen off Sherbet Lane. And other than a small lake called the Willows, that's really all there is to Hessay. Take a drive out of York, folks, and come here. It's not a bad little place. And there you have it, we're back to the centre of the village again. And all I've got to do from here is walk straight down back to the car. A very short walk, like I said, but one that's been interesting enough, you know, not very long, but some places are like this. Can't all be massive places, can they? Now I've got one thing left to do, and that's put a card on the notice board. It's over here by this bus stop. I purposely didn't do it earlier because there are people stood at the bus stop. I didn't really want to disturb them, but they're still there, but I'm gonna just slip behind them if I can. There we go. There you go, that's Hessay officially done. Brilliant. And that's 4 down now in York. And time to move on to the next one, which is a bit bigger than this, thankfully, and has a lot more interesting things in it. But I think this one's been quite nice, hasn't it? Just for an early morning stroll around a lovely part of rural West York. I've been Andy, also known as the Village Idiot. This has been the Parish of Hessay, and I'm out.